All right. Thanks for joining again. We're going to go through some more loops in Bash. Hopefully it doesn't feel redundant. Just kidding. All right. But this time I've practiced a little bit because I don't do the other loop types as often. So a couple of things I forgot to mention, just how Bash does expansion. You can use any kind of expansion in your loops that you want. And I alluded to it, but didn't cover it yesterday because I went off on a tangent on IFS. For example, back yesterday we did the four word in list example. So we're going to do for I. I'm going to not, let's see. Yeah, for I word in 1, 5, do echo I, done. Well, that's not funny. All right, so I'm using W. All right, there you go. So loops, and it knows how to expand 1.5. Can also do a Y, I think. Indeed, it can. And there's probably other fancy things it can do. One of them is listing your directories. So star, like if you did an ls star, you would see all of the files in your current directory that are not hidden. There you go. Similarly, you could do like star dead, and it just finds the one file. So those are handy. It's handy knowledge when you're doing loops. You want to do expansion. So let's look at a different type of loop. Let's do your for, kind of your another for loop. So for, we're going to do arithmetic evaluation. So we're going to do I equals 0. We're going to go from 0 until I is less than 11. And we're going to, notice I'm not using dollar signs. I'm just going to do one at a time, do echo I, done. So going 1 to 10, or 0 to 10, echoes our numbers. Now, you can also do jump by 3s.
Do you need the double parentheses there?
You do need the double parentheses because that's the way Bash uses arithmetic evaluation.
Okay.
So if I just put 1, gives me an error. So another example. Let's move to more of a, let's use an until loop. So I equals, let's start in negative numbers because Bash understands negative numbers. Until I equals 4. Now you'll notice I'm using the brackets this time, and that is because I'm just comparing essentially a string. You can also do a binary number comparison, like if 2 is 2, you can do that within the the brackets. 2 echo I. That. So we need some way to increase the variable here. So we're running this until this specified variable is for. Dough. Okay, so it goes from negative to positive. You could use any sort of true, false. You're gonna do something until something is true. All right, so now we might want to do the reverse of that, which is a while loop. While something is true, do something until it's false. But like yesterday, I suggested that you could loop over a file and operate on it. That results often in some nasty awk and sed. So I've created a file called demo. Yeah, no preparation, right? So I've got a little file here with some of them with spaces, some not. And I'd like to print the first and second word of every sentence. If it has to, if it has more than that, I want to truncate the rest of the line. So in yesterday's example, I might do something like for word in demo. I don't know what just happened there. Do echo W done. So it's splitting on the spaces, so I might set my IFS equal $, so then it'll do the whole line, and then I might say first equals echo W awk. You can see this is not looking pretty. So, you start to hack up each field. Not very pretty. So with a while loop, you can do something like, I think I learned this one day when I was writing some Ruby code, and I thought, I could do this in Bash, shouldn't I? Shouldn't I be able to do that? And sure enough, you can. So while read, first, last, let's just take first. Do echo first, done, temp. Again, we're using some input redirection. So we're taking our demo file and pumping it into this while loop. And so read is going to succeed until it gets to the last line. And by, let's see. So unset IFS. I believe we can just do this without having to do any fancy IFS. And I love my do re mi. Okay, so first is printing the whole line. I didn't want that at all. So I figured out why that was happening. I showed this to someone after the Bash yesterday, and I'd forgotten or never knew or something why I would do this. So it's going to read the entire rest of the line, splitting on the spaces. So I need to put like last and rest here. So there you go. It's printing the first name. And I can print last. I'm just making up, obviously these aren't names. So it's nicely printing the first and second words. Now if I print rest here, if you take that fourth line of our file, a boy named Sue, we were only asking for 3 variables, first, last, and rest. Well, rest is a hint that rest is going to include everything at the end of the line that wasn't, I guess, specified in the first couple of, or I guess wasn't expanded in the first couple of variables.
Why is that? What is rest a special variable here, or what? Because it seems like first and last are the first 2 words.
So I think if we do man bash, and we're gonna look for if you look at the documentation of read, I think we'll find the answer.
A lot of references to read and
yeah, and I even tried to get the beginning. There you go. So one line is read. That's why we don't need the IFS. It's not breaking up by word. And then you can do name, 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 name. So first word is assigned to the first name, second to the second name, and so on, with leftover words and their intervening separators assigned to the last name.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So the man page is awesome. It's just really huge and hard to remember. So I love that example. It's great for hacking up files. I just, in my brain, I do a lot of awk and for in blah, 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 and I should do this more often while read from a redirected input file. That's a great way to go to take in, I guess, different columns of a file. Let's see. Oh, there's another strange one thing I learned. Hey, it helps to prepare a little bit. I don't know if it'll help you because I'll probably explain it poorly. But another type of loop is a select loop in Bash, and I'm not really aware of a kind of a built-in in other languages that do this for you. But as an example, select T in 1, 2, 3, do echo T. Done. Okay. So it takes my list and it prints them with numbers in front of them as if I were, it wants me to select one of them. And then it prompts me, in fact, to select one. And then if I press one, it echoes the value of that one.
That's cool.
Oh, it looks like if I don't put anything, it prints the whole list again. So I don't really know how I'd use this, but I bet there's a fairly good use for this. And notice that it's not, I can't get out, okay? That's a problem. But I figured out what it's waiting on is some sort of let's see, it's waiting for essentially a break. If t equals say 2. So that brings me in break phi. So that brings me to two of the special words in bash loops is break and continue. Break can take an argument of a number, and that means how many levels should I break out of. If you're in a loop with, say, you're in 3 different loops, 3 deep, you can say break 2 and it'll break out to the first one. If you say break 3, well, you're completely out of all the loops and continue on in your program. Let's see if this works. All right, so 1, I just echo my 1. But if I hit a 2, it continues on. And the exit status, in case you were wondering, is 0. Now, lastly, I actually wrote down a few examples. Lastly is the special word continue. So if you wanted to see if we can take one of our 4 examples and have it just work. Okay. All right, so this goes 1 to 11. Let's see what happens if we... I don't think this is going to work. No. So continue also takes an argument, and it basically continues, in iterations afterwards, after in the loop. And I don't know how to give a good example of that here real quick. So that's it for today. Any questions? All right. Well, sorry I went a little long, and thanks for joining.
Thanks.